You might have experienced it yourself back in the day, or you might have only experienced it through filters. However, the filters don't really hold up. What do you think? So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I know CRTs were immensely heavy, they were a huge pain to deal with, but hey, they were actually kind of worth it. I know that having ray tubes, I guess, just makes it hard to dispose of. You don't want to deal with it, I get it, okay? Nobody wants to. It's only ever a benefit to them whenever they're playing the game. Or watching something, it doesn't have to be a game, essentially. But to focus on video games, the developers of video games at the time knew their hardware. They knew what they were doing, and they knew how to optimize it, how to make it look good with said hardware. There's plenty of image and video comparisons between CRT filters and actual CRTs. The filters do try, but they don't come anywhere close. However, they do make a good attempt, I'll say that. It's better than nothing, right? And of course, this was before HD was really a thing, you're still messing around with RCA cables. But hey, you know what? We still had quality. There are plenty of examples of great, fantastic looking games out there that don't need high definition, because they already looked plenty good to begin with. Sure, they might have aged now because we have a lot more to compare it to, but at the time, it looked pretty good. Besides, if you're not playing it on a CRT, then you're not really playing it on the intended device, you know what I mean? It's like playing a game on an emulator, okay? I understand that trying to buy an antique console, you want to buy a PS1, an Xbox, you want to buy whatever console you want to buy that you can't. And you know why you can't buy it? Because people mark them up, fucking, it's $300 for a PS1, or, the game, you might be able to buy the PS1, but the game is like fucking $1,000, it's $500, fucking, it's $200 for the disc itself. Like, it's ridiculous. Scalpers they've been a thing, they will continue to be a thing, and there's nothing we can do about it. Actually, there is a thing we can do about it, but I don't want to say it on this platform. If you can't have the hardware to physically, actually really definitively play the game, then the next best thing is obviously emulation. And for 90% of us who don't have an old PS1 laying around with a fucking never touched CRT, we're gonna have to put it on our HD monitor, okay? We're gonna have to deal with the sluggishness of the emulators. We're gonna have to deal with it lagging every 10, 15, 30 seconds because it's not on the appropriate hardware. It's one of those things you have to do. And at that point, you have to ask yourself, is it better to experience the game yourself, even if it's at a laggy 10, 15 FPS state? Or is it better to just simply watch somebody else play it? And in my opinion, it's much better to simply play it. That being said, I understand people have lives, they have jobs, they're busy. They can't just suddenly devote time. They can't throw hours of their lives into video games every day. It's understandable, You get bored of it, you move on from it. It's life. However, I do value the authenticity, the genuine attempts to do it. That means throwing 5 minutes into it every 2 weeks, then fucking go for it, man. It's not the same if you don't do it yourself, because if you don't have the controller, you don't have anything set up, you're not physically doing it, you don't have as much of a connection, okay? Imagine you're playing Metal Gear on the PlayStation, and you're fighting Psycho Manus, and he starts saying, you like Kojima, or you like Konami games. And it probably freaked you the fuck out at the time, or you had to switch your memory card or whatever the fuck. Shit like that doesn't get to you the same way if you're just watching it. There's a disconnect, there's a sense of disconnection. There's another layer there. It's not the same. And that's the same way with the filters. So, you know what? Let's take a look here. Is an HD CRT useless for retro gaming? Because I didn't know that HD CRTs really existed. The massive hate you see for them is that they don't handle 240p properly. Interesting. In other words, they're just as bad as LCDs. However, they do GameCube, Wii, Dreamcast, Xbox, and PS2 well. That's interesting. Very interesting point. So, if you like me and you like the GameCube, PS2, go for it, man. Apparently, the big complaint is lag. A huge part of the reason for a CRT is to get rid of the lag without emulation tricks. HD CRTs have that lag, and if you're really into retro games, I gather that it's noticeable. That's very interesting. However, there's apparently guides to getting them to be lag-free. Have 2 CRTs. This guy's made of money, goddamn. You know, you can find them around, honestly. People throw them out. You can find them. You used to be able to find them everywhere, honestly. Because you're supposed to recycle them or some shit. They're supposed to be like a specific station, or you can drop them off at like a library or some shit, you know what I mean? But nobody ever did that, you know, because they just never had like the right spots to do it around them, or they didn't want to, they were too lazy, whatever the fuck, right? Anyway, there used to be a ton of them laying around. My family had like 3 or 4 of them, and they're just a huge pain in the ass to move, to pick up. You know, you gotta practice proper range of motion with these motherfuckers. I'm not even joking, man. But yeah, it was definitely an era. And hey, it's still around today. If you care for a better image, a better quality, a better vibe even, then go for a CRT. You know, you should be able to find one around you. They're still around here and there. And it's not just nostalgia, it really is from a good place. The 15 minutes you spend cursing, hauling it up a flight of stairs, wishing you should have just got an LCD instead, it's gonna be worth it, I promise. Unless it doesn't work, or it's not plugged in, or you know, then you're just kinda shit out of luck and can't help you there. Just to give you a little bit of an example, I've got one outside my house, underneath my porch. And I think it's been out there for, Christ, I mean, at least almost a decade by now, probably. And like there's been elements that have touched that fucker. It's partially sheltered, right? But like it's still outside. And I still firmly believe it would probably turn on if I tried to plug it in. Like a good 60-75% chance. I would give it a fucking go. You know what I mean? Those things have space in them. They have a good bit of protection. They're hardy. But enough about me. You want to give it a go, give it a go. You don't? Fuck it.